His faithfulness, our righteousness. Long ago, when the earth was still young, God created a holy sanctuary of verdant fields, forested vales, and turquoise seas. He then filled this sanctuary with all kinds of unique and wonderful creatures that would sing his praises. But there was one creature that he made more special than all the rest. For he made first a son, and then a daughter to be like himself. Night after night, day after day, God, his son and daughter walked together. Together they drifted on cool, gentle breezes. They sipped the crystal waters and sampled the generous varieties of fruits and nuts of the trees that gilded their garden sanctuary. They spoke much of love for one another, their love eclipsed only by their genuine concern for one another's welfare and happiness. They awoke with joy and slept in peaceful bliss. There was never a teary eye or a broken heart. Until one day, when their paradise was invaded and their innocence was stained, then God's heart was broken, as his communion he had with his son and daughter was destroyed by their sudden doubt and disbelief of his true goodness toward them. The forbidden fruit was tasted. Sin and rebellion immediately darkened their hearts as their thoughts were shrouded with new concerns only for themselves. Unable to bear God's holiness, death was inaugurated and innocent blood was shed to dignify bodies shamed with guilt. Their sin set them on a path that led them from the presence of God, who is love. On that day, they traded blissful sanctuary of sweet fellowship with God for their own way, the way of bitterness of separation and loneliness, heartaches and sorrow, infirmity and weakness, hunger, thirst and fear, hatred and murder, with death now the only relief of their miserable life. And each succeeding generation proved again and again the faithfulness of that first son, faithlessness of that first son and daughter of God. The corrupted fruit of rebellion they picked is reaped even within us today. We are all set upon this path of rebellion, sin, and separation. Each has his own way. None are innocent. But murder and every form of evil lurks within the shadowy recesses of our hearts. Yet, God never stopped loving those he made to be like himself, no matter how far their path of sin led them from him, or how unlike him they became. Then, at the right time, he sent into our fallen world his only eternally begotten Son, Jesus Christ. But he was a faithful son in every way. And in another garden, his faithfulness conquered our self-will when he yielded in obedience to his heavenly Father. Consequently, just as the result of one trespass was condemnation for all men, so also was the result of one act of righteousness was justification that brings life for all men. For just as through the disobedience of the one man that many were made sinners, so also the obedience of the one man, the many were made righteous. That was from Romans 5:18 and 19. These symbols of the bread and cup remind us that though we tasted of the forbidden fruit, yet Christ tasted of our death. It was our path of faithlessness that led him to the cross, where his body was broken, and his innocent blood was shed. Yet, we now have righteousness because he chose the path of faithfulness.